Coach, what is this like personally for you, kind of a full circle moment as a former player here with the opportunity to bring this franchise back to, the glory days?
Yeah, I'm really proud of this group of players and the staff and everybody we've had here. It's been obviously a rebuild over the last 3-4 years. When I got the opportunity to come back and be the manager of the club, this is where my heart is, because the LA Galaxy gave me my chance as a player, and it's my first professional club. It was also the club that I retired at. So I saw from afar the challenges and the struggles to fulfill sort of the expectations of the LA Galaxy, which is to compete and win championships. And to be here now in that position where we've been able to, with everybody involved, navigate back to this position, I couldn't be more proud of the group of people who started started this process and are a part of it today. Now it's our job to go try to finish it off. But this is the expectation of the LA Galaxy. It's what our fans expect, and it's what the brand has expected because of the legacy and history that's been created here.
Can you talk about the performance that you guys have had this year, particularly in this building? It's been dominant.
Yeah, again, I think the energy and the relationship between the fans and the supporters in the stadium and the players coming on, our team is energetic, and we attack and we play with this relentless nature that we're coming at you all the time. And I think you need that reciprocal relationship from your supporters, which has been amazing from day one. And I think that gives our group, again, the joy of coming into our building and performing for our fans, and to be our best version, which is aggressive, attacking, and entertaining type of team. And so I think we've maximized that. That was one of the things we talked about at the beginning of the year. The low-hanging fruit for us was to make this building more of a fortress, take more points here. And like I said, that relationship has blossomed and, again, re-blossomed, if you will, and the guys are taking full advantage of it.
My last question for you is the thought of trying to get this done without Riqui. You have been a deep team all season long, but obviously he's not going to be there Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to miss Riqui. There's not another player in the league, honestly, that's like him, and he's special and unique, and he does special things for us. I mean, he can turn a game on a dime and one quick play, and he's extraordinary. We're going to have to take up that slack in a collective way, both with and without the ball, and how we move the ball quickly and the things that we do in attack, but also in the ways that we do defensively and trying to clog things up, create turnovers, do some things that maybe with Riqui we don't have to do as much, but we're going to need to do a little bit more of it today. And because of our opposition and the way they play, we know there's going to be a battle in the middle of the field, and it's going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of duels and challenges, and so we need to make sure that we're ready for those moments for first and second balls and things like that. But just the nature of the way the Red Bulls approach the game is going to put us into those types of situations as well.
David, is Marco trending in the right direction?
Yeah, I think he is. He's doing his work inside, and tomorrow he'll be back on the field, and we'll build him towards the game. But indications are he's trending in the right direction, and I suspect that he'll be ready for Saturday.
What makes their defense so good?
Very organized, really compact, and they are very aggressive in the right moments together. And so you very rarely can find gaps and seams and pockets between them. When they initiate their pressure, they're all going, and they're going, like I said, with high intensity and high speed, and they're there to disrupt. And because they don't necessarily look to have a lot of possession, they don't necessarily open themselves up to those attacking moments. They really kind of stay where they are more concentrated on transition defending, and transition attacking. And so they don't ever really show too many opportunities where they expose themselves for you to break them down. Our goal is to try to find ways, obviously, to separate them, to try to make them a little bit late in their pressure. And if they overpress, can we get behind them and exploit them in the spaces behind? But they're drilled. Like I said, they spend a lot of time and their energy in terms of their game model on how to be a really good defending team and create transitions that they can use on the attack.
We'll transition to Zoom. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Scott.
How would you say the Red Bulls align with the way that Red Bull plays around the world, the Rangnick style, and in which ways might they diverge?
I think they're quite consistent. I think when you my personal feeling of Red Bulls is they're pretty aggressive on the spectrum of defensive pressing, and whether that they go into a mid block but they're still ready to press, or they're really high pressing you. It's always with the concept that they're going to step to the ball and they're going to try to force you into uncomfortable sort of playing situations where you can turn over the ball and they can use it in transition. So I think that's consistent across all the Red Bull teams, that they're low exposure on the attacking side and that they are high intensity on the defensive side. You know, what might vary from team to team is a little bit more on the attacking version, is how much they want to have possession or how interested they are in having possession and how open they're willing to make themselves in order to keep the ball and move you around. That meter might adjust a little bit, and so I think this group, because of the results that they were getting in the season and the version I see of them now in the playoffs, is they moved a little bit away from, and during the year I thought, okay, this group is a little more possession oriented than Red Bull teams I've seen in the past, and I think Schwartz has done a good job of trying to create that. But I think over the last stretch of the season, they weren't getting great results, and I feel like they've gone a little bit more towards the less risk on the attacking side and more dependency in some ways on the pressing and the transitions and all those kinds of things, where they're just taking less risk in build-out moments and pressing moments. So again, that meter is the one that always adjusts for me, but how aggressive they're capable of being and organized on the defensive side, I think, is very consistent across all their teams.
In what ways are the challenges different than the ones that Seattle gave you?
Well, Seattle was very good. They didn't look for a ton of moments where they were out stretching themselves out and pressing. They were opportunistic about the moments that they felt they could, but it wasn't their game plan to be out, to really organize press and getting things to us. They were very good at blocking up, getting into their low mid block, choosing when their fullbacks were going to address our wingers and when their wide midfielders were going to, and they were going to keep their center backs in front of the goal. So I think Seattle was a touch more sort of protect themselves a little lower and look to transition out, whereas I think Red Bulls will find for sure more moments in the game where they're trying to extend themselves and press and disrupt our possessions and try to create turnovers that they can use in transition. So the ideas are the same. I just think the Red Bulls will try to seek more high pressing moments than, say, Seattle did at times. But I also think if we show that we're competent with the ball on the day, they also have the capacity to drop their 5 and go into some mid block or low block defending moments where they're going to again try to slow us down on the attacking side. So there's going to be each of those moments inside the game as there were the other night. I just think it is going to be a little heavier probably on the aggressive press.
Wonderful. Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
Oh, we'll go next to Chandrima. Go ahead, Chandrima.
Thanks. Hi, Coach.
Hi.
So you've been to 3 finals with the Galaxy as a player, but you didn't win the cup, and you've touched on this already a bit, but would you elaborate, please, a little bit more about what it would mean to you personally, like on a personal evolution level, if you guys did win the MLS Cup this year with this team?
Yeah, I just obviously the 3 that we lost, in which I was a player, were all very good teams. Started in '96, and then again, I forget, '99, I think, and then again in 2000. And 2 of those were 2001. Two of those were in overtime. One was in regulation, but they were disappointing moments, right? As always, losing a final is, and they were with some really good friends, guys who are still really good friends. Some of my teammates or some of my coaching mates that are my assistant coaches, a goalkeeper coach. So just those were disappointing times. So, but you don't always get the chance to come back to the club that is kind of what you think feel like is your club or your hometown club or the club that means the most to you, and get another chance at this type of scenario, and also to do that with, again, some of your former teammates that were in those games. Is a special opportunity. The second is, I think those early teams are kind of the pioneers of the Galaxy that sort of set the tradition of competing for and winning championships. And even though we didn't win those 3 championships, we did win an Open Cup, we did win other tournaments, and in 2002 the Galaxy then finally got across the line and won a championship. So the legacy of the Galaxy being great was started in those early days, and what people in our fan base expects started back in those days. And so to come back and be a part of the crew, as I mentioned earlier, to help us get back to that stage has been it's been wonderful. That's what I came here for, and is for this opportunity. And hopefully now we can win a championship, and it will make up for the 3 that I lost. But it'll certainly make me feel a little bit better about the 3 I lost.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then we'll go with John Rojas.
Thanks, Greg. In the lead up to the game with Seattle, you said that the game will be dictated by the way they decided to defend. It's fair to say now that with Red Bulls, the game will be dictated by how you guys decide when and where to deal with the press?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the same. It's going to be dictated based on how they decide to defend. And so, but I think the decision to defend will probably, like I said before, will be more aggressive at times. I don't know if it would be all the time, because I just don't think you can sustain that high intensity, high aggressive posture for 90 minutes maybe, but it's difficult. Again, I think it's going to be us being able to manage with the ball and take advantage of opportunities when they press, to be able to make sure that we are secure with the ball, that we're able to break lines and get behind them. And there needs to be a penalty for them when they try to press, and that penalty has to be us breaking them and getting behind them and getting opportunities, and not them winning balls and benefiting from the high press. So that's going to be the first challenge for us. And the second is, in the moments they're never going to separate themselves. I just don't think that's going to happen at any point in the day where, they have a certain group of players defending and a certain group of players waiting to attack. They're always going to be compact, and they're always going to be connected. And so sometimes it's going to be low as well if they feel like the press isn't what they need to do in a moment, or maybe they just need to recover a little bit. We're going to have to figure out how to break those things down, break those moments down. So, that's going to be the game. And for us, it's going to be defending in transition moments when balls do turn over, because they will. It's going to be our reactions in those situations, and making sure that we're able to protect ourselves. It's going to be us defending set pieces is going to be a huge part of this game, because that's been one of the ways they've really been able to get goals lately. And it's going to be us also just in normal defensive moments of choosing when we can be aggressive and when we also have to be mindful. So, but yeah, their presses and their defending posture is going to establish the tempo of the game in many ways.
Yeah. Raul is a quiet guy, but he has 5 rings. Is any chance that he can have any message for the boys on how this, push them a little bit more?
Raul is, for those who aren't keeping track, Raul is the equipment manager, who has the infamous picture of the 5 rings. So we're trying to get him onto his other hand. That's our goal here, so we can do that. But Raul's he's just such a calming presence. He's been around for so long. He knows so much about the club and has been here almost, I think, since day one. I think for Raul, everybody looks and they would like to win for Raul on every single day, because, again, of who he is and what he means. So I don't know if he'll have words, but if he does, he certainly has an open space in my locker room to share whatever those are.
Last one from me, if you can share anything on the early stage decisions with Riqui, like when is he going to go to surgery? Is he going to stay in LA? What's the early plan?
The early plan is he's going to be here with our group through this weekend, and I don't know anything further on scheduled surgeries or too much beyond that. Right now, between him and all of the group, there's a heavy focus and emphasis, at least internally, on the match this weekend. I know behind the scenes they're working on those details for him. I'm not privy to all of those at the moment, but I will at the appropriate time. So, but for now, he, his family who is here, everybody, we're all locked in on helping the team to get through this weekend in a positive way.
Great, thanks a lot.
Yep.
And we'll wrap with one last question. Alex, go ahead.
Hey, Greg. You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, talking about the defense. But, at the start of the year, there were some struggles. But over the playoffs and maybe the last month of the regular season, you guys have really been really good in open play. But it feels like the national storyline is that you guys are still leaky on the back line. Does that bother you, considering the progress that you guys have done as the season's gone on? Thank you.
No, you got to talk about something. So, people who want to find a flaw in our group, that's where they're going to look. It's not going to be on the attacking side, because the group has put in 16 goals, I think, in the playoffs. So, but so far we've given up very few, and our expected goals against has been very low. So it doesn't bother me. There has to be some narratives out there. The thing that we've got to do is this game is going to be a game of transition moments in many ways, and our reactions have to be great, and we have to defend well in those situations, and we're going to have to defend well in set pieces, and that's something that's going to have to be a staple inside of this game for this group, and our intensity in those moments is going to have to be off the charts. And I'm confident the group will prepare them for those moments, and they've answered the bell through the playoffs, and I hope that they continue this weekend, obviously. But I think that's, when you're going to try to nitpick at our group, that's going to be certainly the area that people are going to come towards.
All right. Anything else? Thanks for your time, Greg.
Yep, thank you.
Can I get one quick one?
Go ahead.
Last
Yep.
one.
Yeah, sorry, Greg. I was looking through the data. When Mickey, Emiro, Maya, and John Nelson are out there starting the back line, you guys are undefeated. What makes that back line group so special? Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of answered some of this in the last couple of weeks, which is all good. But I think, John Nelson's instincts are a little bit more on the defensive side. He's gotten more and more comfortable over the course of the season with our attacking play and being on the ball and how to play off the side and all of his options there. Obviously, scoring a goal is first in his career. But his defensive instincts are outstanding, and his connectedness to, even when we're in possession, understanding what his role is in transition defending and all that has given us a really good balance over on his side and the left side. And he reads the game really well defensively and sometimes breaking off of assignments because he sees that something's going to break down and he makes a play. And so he makes the team obviously stronger because of his instincts on the defensive side are heightened, and that helps. Emiro coming into the group gives you just such an incredible amount of individual sort of athleticism. He's also a defender first and probably, an attacker second in some ways, and a passer is second, but he can defend in transition. He can track pretty much anyone down. He's aggressive in the one-on-ones, and he can just get into anyone's space and deal with things. And he's got a bit of that eraser quality. If a mistake happens, he has the capacity sometimes just to make up ground and deal with it. So by looking at that group, we have potentially two new guys. If you're talking about Julian and Jalen, who are younger, but we have two guys who come in whose instincts are really on the defensive side and whose qualities are really kind of tend to trend more defensive. And they've helped that group, help that back line. Again, in certain situations, just be maybe a little stronger in moments, and helped us maybe a little bit on the set piece side. All season long, we haven't been leaking goals in a lot of open play stuff. That hasn't really been the big problem of our group. We've had stretches in the early part of the season that was more set pieces, and even later part, a couple of games of set pieces. So I think the group has just found the right balance in between attack and defending.
All right. Thanks for your time,
Yep,
Greg.
Thank you.